Chapter 6, Adnarel and the Quantum Leap. Yellow looked up and saw a circle of strange animals. In the center of the circle stood Mala, looking pale and frightened. Her dark hair covered her breasts, her body. Yellow started to cry out, to leap up and go to her sister, but it seemed that a firm hand came across her mouth, held her down on the rock. The cobra uncoiled, hood spreading, swaying as though to unheard music, then stretched up and up into the loveliness of lavender wings and amethyst eyes that reflected the sunlight. I, Ugil, call my brothers. Nama. The vulture stretched its naked neck until great black wings and coal black eyes and a white face were revealed. Rofocal, a shrill drone, a mosquito whine, and then there stood in the desert a Nephilim with wings of flaming red and eyes like garnets. Chef. The crocodile opened its mouth, showing its terrible teeth. It appeared to swallow itself and vomit forth a tall green-winged emerald-eyed Nephil. Yellow trembled as she saw the dragon/lizard. Eblis. He burst from his scales, beautiful, awe-inspiring. Estelle. The cockroach scuttled a few inches and then burst open and dust rose and dissipated to reveal another of the Nephilim. Ezequin, the skink. Negarsanel, the flea. Ruxiel, the worm. Rumel, the slug. Rumjaw, the red ant. Urtrau, the rat. One by one, the creatures transformed themselves into the Nephilim with their white skin and brilliant multicolored wings. Ugil raised his arms. I, Ugil, in the presence of my brother Nephilim, take to wife Mala, penultimate daughter of Noah and Medtrid. Mala slowly moved toward him, was folded in the great wings. Yellow fought for breath. Her chest felt constricted as she gasped for air. Then she saw that there was another circle outside the circle of the Nephilim. The pelican who daily brought water for her pitcher stretched herself into the tall, bright personage with silvery hair and wings. Alarin. Light seemed to flash against the bronze shell of the scarab beetle, who rose up in a rush of golden wings and burnished skin. Adnarel. A tawny lion with a great ruff of fur about its neck rose on its hind legs and stretched into its seraphic form. Ariel. The golden tip of his wings glimmered in the starlight. A golden snake, as large as the cobra, burst, but as bright as the cobra was dark, called out as it was transformed. Abesdarhan. One by one, the seraphim called out their names as they changed form. A golden bat shot up into the air. Abdiel. A ruffled white owl widened its round silver eyes, and the eyes were suddenly the silver eyes of the seraphim's face, and moon-blue wings seemed to touch the sky. Akatriel, a white leopard, swift as the wind, called Abazohar. A soft-furred mouse rose, crying, Aksa. By the mouth a tiger moved, stood, stretched. Adabiel. A white camel and a giraffe rose moments apart. Admiel. A nutshell. Lastly, a white goose flew skyward, its wings changing to snow white. Alabiel. There seemed a healing in the calling of their names. Although the circle of seraphim was outside that of the Nephilim, when they spread their great wings to the fullest span, the wingtips touched. Likewise, the Nephilim raised their wings, turning so that they faced the seraphim, and the glory of their wings brushed. Brothers, Alarin said, you are still our brothers. Ugil touched his lavender wings at Alarin's silver ones. No, we have renounced you and all that you stand for. This planet is ours. Its people are ours. We do not know why you stay. Alarin replied firmly, because no matter how loudly you renounce us, we are still brothers, and that can never be changed. For a fragment of a second, Ogiel seemed more cobra than Nephil. Yellow choked back a scream. Mala, small and frail, still stood in the center of the circle, protected only by her dark hair. Eblis, shimmering in and out of his dragon lizard form, touched wings with Ariel. We have made our choice. We have forsworn heaven. Then the earth will never be yours. Ariel was once more a lion, and with a great roar he galloped away, vanishing into the far horizon. The two circles broke up with a great flurry of brilliant wings. Yelith blinked, and when she opened her eyes, she saw only a tall lavender-winged Nephil with his arm tenderly about Mala, who was no smaller than any other woman of the oasis, but who came barely to Ogiel's waist. Yellow sat on the rock as though frozen into motionlessness. Ogiel's wings spread, wrapped gracefully, protectingly about Mala. Yellow thought she caught a whiff of stone. Then there was a flash, not bright like the unicorns, but a flash of darkness even darker than the night, and then the desert in front of her was empty. Mala and Ogiel were gone. She cried out in fear. "Little one," a gentle voice spoke behind her, "why are you afraid?" She turned to see Eblis, his purple wings lifted so that they seemed to mingle with the night sky. "Mala," she said, "I am afraid for Mala." "Why fear, my precious? Ogiel will take care of her, as I will take care of you. There are rumors on the oasis of fearful things to come, the volcano erupting, the mountain falling, earthquakes such as have never been felt before, terrible things unlike the silly little tremors you hardly notice." She nodded. "I think my father is afraid, but what can we do? If the volcano is going to erupt, there's no way we can stop it." "No, nor can you run from it, but I will protect you." "How?" "Nephilim have powers. If you will come with me, I will keep you safe." "Come with you? Where?" "I will make a home for you full of lovely things. You will no longer have to sleep on rough skins, still smelling of animals. I will give you food and wine such as you have never tasted. Come, my lovely little jewel, come with me." "When?" she faltered. "Now, tonight." She thought of the two circles, the seraphim and the Nephilim. It was Eblis who was offering her protection, not Ariel. Mala had gone with Ogiel, not with Alarin. "What about my family?" she asked. "What about my twins?" "Only you," Eblis said. "That is as far as my powers extend." She looked up at the stars, shook her head. Twin Den still needs me." "Love is patient," Eblis said. "I will wait, but I think that in the end you will come to me." His hand soothed her soft burnished hair, and there was pleasure in his touch. She blinked, looked at the brilliant pattern of stars, and it seemed that she could see Sandy bowing to her in her grandfather's tent, could see Dennys holding her hand, and the pain of his burns made him cry out. Eblis touched her hair again. "I will wait." Japheth came to visit Dennys, examined him carefully, touching the remaining scabs, gently pulling off a flaking strip of paper-thin skin. "You are better." "Much better." Dennys smiled at him, and the smile no longer seemed to crack the burnt skin of his face. "I go out at night with Yelith and Holabama, and we listen to the stars." "It is good that you can hear the stars." Japheth sat beside Dennys on a pile of skins, putting his hands, stained purple from winemaking, on his brown knees. Dennys looked troubled. "They keep telling me to make peace. At least, I think that is what I hear the stars saying to me." Japheth nodded. "Oholi told me. Peace between my father and grandfather. Have you talked to my father about his quarrel with Grandfather Lamech?" "Yes, once when he came to visit me, but I didn't really understand what their quarrel is about." "Water," Japheth said flatly. "That is what most quarrels on the oasis are about. Grandfather had the best and deepest wells on the oasis, and he's letting his own gardens and groves go to seed in his old age. But he lets you take all the water you need from his wells, doesn't he?" Japheth sighed, then laughed. "Oh, Dan, the quarrel is so old and stupid, I think that both my father and grandfather have forgotten what it is about. They are both stiff-necked and stubborn." "Your grandfather, what is he like? I mean, if he's so old, is he able to take proper care of Sandy?" "Oh, I'm sure he is. Grandfather Lamech is as hospitable as our mother, and kind and gentle. It was he who taught Yelith and me to listen to the stars, and to understand the wind, and to love El. He sighed again. Oh, Den, I'm sorry to involve you in our family quarrel. Dennys sighed too. He did not reply. He looked up at the brazen sky, behind which were the stars, and they had already involved him. He shivered. Grandfather L'Engle and Higayen began taking Sandy out in the daylight, not into the direct and brutal sunlight, but in the shade of a thick grove. Like Dennys, Sandy wore only a lion skin. His underclothes were folded with the rest of his things in case they were ever needed again. The loinskin, unlike his own clothes, could be scrubbed clean with sand and eventually discarded and replaced. He liked the freedom of the loinskin, liked the way his own skin had healed and was slowly turning a rosy tan. Adnarel came by Grandfather L'Engle's tent almost every day, and as Sandy grew stronger and more willing to accept that he was not going to wake up in his own bed at home, he grew more aware of his surroundings and of the tender care given him by the tiny ancient man. Hey, Grandfather L'Engle, he said one morning after breakfast. Now that I'm better, it's time I stop freeloading. The old man looked at him questioningly. What's that? What's that? What can I do to help? Sandy asked. I've never done any cooking, but isn't there stuff outdoors I could do to be useful? At home, Dennys and I chop wood and mow the lawn, and we have this huge vegetable garden. At the mention of the garden, L'Engle's eyes brightened. I have a vegetable garden, and lately I have much neglected it. Higayen helps with the watering, but I am too old for the long hours of work, and now there are great weeds choking the plants. Let me at it, Sandy cried. Dennys and I are terrific gardeners. Grandfather L'Engle's face creased into a broad smile. Not so fast, my son. The time for work in the garden is in the earliest morning, and just as the sun is setting in the evening. Oh, the old man laughed. Truly, you do not want to go out in the garden during the day, or you will be felled by the sun all over again. But as soon as the sun drops behind the palms, I will show you the garden. I thank you, dear my sand. You have been sent to me by El, this I believe. Hey, it's the least I can do, Sandy protested. In the late afternoon, when the sun's rays were slanted, L'Engle and Higayen led him past a small grove to the garden, which was indeed in need of helping hands. Great weeds of varieties Sandy had never before seen grew higher than many of the vegetables. This was going to be a full-time job. The weeds had deep roots, he discovered as he tried to pull one up. He found a sharp stone and would have started digging had L'Engle not stopped him. You're not quite ready for such hard work, and it is still hot. Tomorrow morning you can try coming out for an hour. All right. It'll make me feel at home, working in a garden again. Sandy knew that he did not have to win Grandfather L'Engle's approval, but he had a deep sense of happiness that he could do something for the old man who had been so kind to him. Despite the profusion of weeds, the garden was lush with more vegetables than he had ever seen before. Too bad there was no way to can or freeze them. We sun-dried some of these. L'Engle pointed to a long row of red ovals on tall leafy stalks, and another of something purple that looked like eggplant, but was twice the height of the plants at home. If these people of the desert were smaller than anyone Sandy had ever seen, their plants were larger. That way, the old man continued, we can eat them in the winter in soups and stews. I have groves of fruit trees, too, that need pruning and harvesting. Japheth and Holobama come when they can to help me out, but they have more than enough to do in my son's vineyards. It must have been ordered in the start that you should come just as I have to accept that I can no longer manage on my own. His face was joyful. Sandy felt bathed in the old man's joy. There was certainly going to be no time for boredom, and if there was plenty to do, there would be less time in which to worry about getting home. One morning, Adnarel said, the den is much improved. Sandy nodded. Good, but why do you call it the sand in the den, and those sands and dens were some kind of rare species? Adnarel's bright laugh pealed. We picked it up from Japheth, and to Japheth the sand in the den are indeed rare species, of a kind never before seen on the oasis, or on any oasis round about. It is good that your head is covered. Adnarel nodded approvingly at the woven straw hat matron had brought over one night with a nightlight. L'Engle tells me you are doing valiant work in the garden. Sandy pulled the hat firmly down on his head. The weeds are something else. We have weeds at home, but not like these. But I'm getting rid of them little by little. Hey, does your name Adnarel mean anything? That I am in the service of the maker of the universe. Why are you sometimes Adnarel, the way you are now, and sometimes you seem to be a scarab beetle? Sandy started to scratch his shoulder where skin still flaked, stopping himself. I am not sure you will understand, Adnarel said. The scarab beetle is my earthly host. What on earth do you need an earthly host for? Adnarel sighed. I said you might not understand. Hey, Sandy was indignant. Dennis and I may not be the geniuses of a family, but we're nobody's idiots. True, Adnarel agreed, and I suspect that you also understand that energy and matter are interchangeable. Well, sure, our parents are scientists. On the other hand, you live in a time and place where those like myself are either forgotten or denied. It was not easy to get you to believe in a unicorn until the need was desperate. Unthinkingly, Sandy scratched his forearm and shreds his skin blew across the ground. When you're in the scarab beetle, can you understand everything we say? Certainly. Then why do you bother to come out? When I'm the scarab beetle, I must accept its limitations. Sandy grunted. I think better when I have Dennis around to bounce ideas off. When am I going to be able to see him again? As soon as he is able to be moved. Grandfather Lamech has offered us hospitality. It is less noisy and crowded here than in the big tent. Sandy sighed. People have been very kind to us. You too. Adnarel smiled a smile so grave that it was not far from a frown. We do not yet know why you are here. There must be a purpose to your presence, but we do not know what it is. His eyes seemed to shoot golden sparks at Sandy. Do you? I wish I did, Sandy said. It all seems to have been some kind of silly accident. I doubt that, Adnarel said. Noah came again to visit Dennis. I am told that you are nearly well. Yes, thank you. Oholabama said that you will soon be ready to be moved. Dennis felt a surge of panic. Moved? Where? To my father Lamech's tent, to be reunited with your brother. The panic subsided. I would like that. Is it far? Half the oasis. The tent flap had been pegged open, and through it and through the roof hole, Dennis could hear the stars, could hear the chiming at him. Will you take me? Noah pulled at his beard. I do not go to my father's tent. I don't understand. It is his place to come to me. Why? Aren't you the son? He is old. He cannot care for his land as it should be cared for. I'm sorry, Father Noah, but I still don't see why you won't help him. I told you. Noah's voice was gruff. I work long hours in the vineyard. There is not time for coddling the old man. Is speaking to your father coddling, or whatever you call it? Sandy and I get mad at our father. He pays more attention to our sister and a little brother than he does to us because they're the geniuses and we're only... But even when we're mad at him, he's still our father. So, when we get home, we're going to have a lot of explaining to do to our father. He will probably be very angry with us. Why? Well, we sort of got in the middle of something he was working on. I don't know what you're talking about, Noah said. Neither do I exactly, Dennis admitted. The thing is, we're going to have to talk to our father when we get home. It would be a stupid thing if we tried to avoid him. So why are you telling me this? Well, I really do think you should talk with your father. I don't mean to be rude or anything, but it sounds to me as though all this argument about wells and stuff has gone on for so long, it doesn't make sense anymore. And he's an old man, and you're much younger, and you should be strong enough to back down. Backing down is being strong? It takes a lot of courage to say I'm sorry. That's what Sandy and I are going to have to say to our father when we get home. Then why say it? Noah growled. Because things won't be right between us till we do. You're too young to be telling me what to do. Noah was testy. You would not even be alive now if we hadn't taken you in. That's true, and I am more grateful than words can say. The stars chimed at him again. Father Noah, please go see your father and make peace with him before he dies. Noah grunted, rose, walked out of the tent. Dennis looked at the patch of velvet sky he could see through the open flap. The stars were brilliant and silent. Tigla, the red-haired, rubbed the juice of some red berries on her lips over her cheekbones, took a stick of wood which she had shredded at one end to make a brush, and used it on her abundant curls. She had taken the warts of the tangles out with her fingers, and the brush was only to add sheen. I am beautiful, truly beautiful, she thought. My hair is as red as my nephil's wings. We are beautiful together. A mosquito shrilled near her, lit on her neck, and bit. Ouch! She protested. Why did you do that? The mosquito was gone, and a Nephil, with wings like flame, stood before her. Because you are indeed truly beautiful. You are so beautiful I could eat you up. She burst into tears. Rofacal, don't bite me. The Nephil laughed. It was just a tiny bite. Tell me, little Tegla, have you seen again the young giant your father and brother threw out of your tent? No, I think the women from Noah's tent are nursing him. Your sister? Tegla laughed. I wouldn't want to depend on Anna if I need nursing. The younger ones, Holabama and Yelif. Anna is helpful when they need ointments, and how did he get into your tent in the first place? She pouted. How would I know? I called for a unicorn, and suddenly this pale young giant was there too. I was sorry they threw him out. I'd like to have had a chance to talk with him. Tegla, my beauty, you'll do anything I ask, won't you? As long as you don't ask me to do anything I don't want to do. I want you to get to know this young giant. Find out where he comes from, why he is here. Will you do that for me? With pleasure. Not too much pleasure, Rofacal chided. I want him to be attracted to you. I do not want you to be attracted to him. You are mine. Are you not? She raised his lips to his. His lips were as red as hers, although no berry juice had been rubbed on them. Mine, Rofacal purred. Mine, mine, mine. In the cool of the evening, Sandy sat on the low bench made by the root of the old fig tree. Hagay was curled up at his feet, making little bubbles as he slept and dreamed. A man with a full brown beard flecked with white and with springy brown hair strode toward him, turning in front of the public path toward Grandfather Lamech's tent. He went up to Boy and Mammoth, stared. You are the sand. I am Sandy. Yes. They told me that you look like one boy in two bodies. Now I believe them. Who are you? Sandy asked curiously. I am Noah. Your brother is in one of my tents, and my wife and daughters are taking good care of him. Thank you, Sandy said. We're very grateful. Noah continued to stare at him. If I did not know that the den is in one of my tents, I would think that you were he. How could this be? We're twins, Sandy explained wearily. Twins. We have known nothing of twins before. He paused and looked at Sandy, then at the tent. Is my father in the tent? Sandy nodded. He's resting. Then he added, but I know he'd be happy to see you. He wished he felt as certain as he sounded. Grandfather Lamech struck him as being a very stubborn person, with his natural stubbornness augmented by age. Without speaking further, Noah went into the tent. Noah! Suddenly, the name registered. Sandy had not heard Noah called by name. Lamech referred to him, when he spoke of him, as my son. The women who came with the nightlight called him father. Noah. The galaxy seemed to swirl. Sandy had been convinced that he and Dennys had blown themselves somewhere far from home, at least one out of their own solar system, and probably out of their own galaxy. If this Noah was the Noah of the story of Noah and the flood, they were still on their own planet. They had blown themselves in time rather than in space, and to get home from time might be far more difficult than getting home from space, no matter how distant. But it seemed to fit. Desert people, nomads with tents, cattle, camels. People used to be smaller than and of 20th century people. Way back in pre-flood days, it was logical that they would be a great deal smaller. Hagay was small for a mammoth. He put his head in his hands, suddenly dizzy. Dennys sat with Japheth and Oholabama, and with Yalif on one of the desert rocks. The sky was still flushed with light. The first stars were trembling into being. Japheth looked at Dennys in the last light. You talked with my father? Yes. Oh, I'm so glad, Yalif cried. Father has gone off somewhere, Japheth said, in the direction of Grandfather Lamech's tent. Oholabama looked up at the sky. He will be happier now. All of us will be happier. Where there's an unreconciled quarrel, everybody suffers. Dennys looked troubled. I'm not sure he really listened to me, but you heard the stars, Oholabama said, and you were obedient to their command. Japheth added, that is all anybody can do. Now it is in El's hands. Briefly, Dennys closed his eyes. I hope Sandy doesn't think I'm crazy. I hope I don't think I'm crazy, obeying stars yet. I feel like running, Oholabama said, and jumped down and ran fleetly across the desert. Japheth following her. Come, Yellis called, and leapt from the rock. Dennys, with his long legs, caught up with them easily, and suddenly he was holding hands with Yellis and Aholabama, and the four of them twirled in a joyous dance. Moonlight and starlight bathed them. Dennys, leaping in the night, felt more alive than he had ever felt before. Sandy and Higgins sat up, startled, as they heard a roar from the tent. At first it seemed to be a roar of anger, then laughter, then there was absolute silence. Sandy could feel his heart beating faster. Higgins' ears were lifted in alarm. He raised his trunk. They wouldn't hurt each other, would they? Sandy spoke aloud. Higgins stared at him out of bright, beady eyes. Then the tent flap was shoved aside, and Lamech and Noah pushed through with difficulty because they had their arms about each other, and tears were streaming down their cheeks. Lamech's voice was so choked with emotion that the words were muffled. This my son was dead and is alive again, was lost and is found. Noah hugged the old man roughly. This is my father, my stubborn old father. We are two peas in a pod for stubbornness. He looked at Sandy. As you and the den are two peas in a pod. Hey, Sandy said, I'm glad you two have made up. It was the den, Noah said. He just kept at me. Sandy looked surprised. At home, at school, Dennys seldom talked first. He followed Sandy's lead, but seldom initiated anything. Well, that's good. He is nearly healed now, too. Soon he'll be able to come to you. My father, he paused. I would be happy to have the den stay, but my tent is crowded and noisy, and my father has invited you to stay with him. That's terrific, Sandy said. Thanks, grandfather. Thanks a lot. And Dennys can't help me with the garden. So we should celebrate, Noah said, and handed his father a small wineskin. There is not much of this, but it is my very best. A little will suffice. The old man held the wineskin to his lips, then smacked them in appreciation. Indeed, your very best. He handed the skin to Sandy, who took a small sip, barely managed to swallow it without making a face. El has taken with you too? Lamech asked his son. He has. When El spoke, I used to understand what was being said. Now it is all confusion. What does El say to you? Grandfather Lamech put his arm about his son's shoulders. El tells me these are end days. End of what? Noah asked. Of all that we know, I think, the old man said, it is not just a question of moving our tents to where there is more water and better pasture for your beasts. Sometimes I, too, feel that the words are all confusion. El talks of many waters, but there is no water anywhere around except in the wells. Sandy, sitting next to the old man with a mammoth lying nearby, shuddered. Grandfather Lamech, if he did not die first, and Noah and his family and a good many animals would be the only ones to escape drowning in the great flood. I already know the story, he thought, and was glad that the night hit his deep flush of embarrassment. It did not seem right that he should know something that Grandfather Lamech and Noah did not know. But what did he know? Vague memories of Sunday school. God, angry at the wickedness of the world and sending a flood, but telling Noah to build an ark and bring the animals on. And then there were terrible rains, and finally a dove brought Noah a sprig of grain, and the ark landed on Mount Ararat. Not much of a story unless you were part of it. Was Grandfather Lamech in the story? He did not remember. Grandfather patted Sandy gently, his usual way of expressing affection, and went on talking. As concerned about the flood, Sandy lost track of a conversation. He heard Grandfather Lamech saying, my grandfather, Enoch, was 365 years, and then he was not. Sandy's ears pricked up. What do you mean he was not? Grandfather Lamech said, he walked with El. He was a man of warm heart, and El took him. It was a weird story. El took him? How? I was only a boy, Grandfather Lamech said. My grandfather Enoch was walking through the lemon grove, the same lemon grove I will show you tomorrow. He was walking through the lemon grove with El, and then they were not there. If this was part of the story of Noah and the flood, Sandy did not remember it. It is customary, he asked, for someone just to be not? Grandfather Lamech laughed. Oh dear, not at all customary, but my grandfather Enoch was not an ordinary man. He went away from us to be with El at a very young age. He was only 365 years old. That's exactly a solar year, Sandy said. A what? A solar year. For starters, it takes our planet 365 days to go around the sun. Nonsense, Noah said. We don't go around the sun. It goes around us. Oh, Sandy said. Well, never mind. Grandfather L'Engle patted his knee. It is all right. Things may be different where you come from. Do you know El? Well, yes, sort of, though we say God. Grandfather L'Engle appeared not to have heard. My grandfather Enoch, how I do miss him. El talked with me, and sometimes I am able to understand, but I have never been able to walk with El in the cool of the evening like two friends. What do you think happened to him then, to Grandfather Enoch? L'Engle nodded and nodded as though answering. Finally, he said, El took him, and that is all I need to know. Father, Noah said, you talk with El more than anyone I know. Because my years are long, my son. It was not always so. I am glad indeed that you have come to me before I die. You're not going to die for a long time yet, Noah cried. You'll live as long as our forefather Methuselah. No, my son, Grandfather L'Engle's arm about Noah's shoulders tightened again. My time is near. Perhaps El will take you as he took Grandfather Enoch. Grandfather L'Engle laughed again. Oh, my son, I am full of years, and now that you have come to me, I am ready to die. El does not need to take me in the same way he took Grandfather Enoch. Sandy looked at the two small men, hugging and laughing and crying all at the same time. It seemed likely that Grandfather L'Engle would die before the flood. How soon? And how soon was the flood? He had come to love Grandfather L'Engle, who, with Higayon, had nursed him so tenderly. And what about Yalith? He wondered suddenly. He didn't remember her name in the story. And what about us, Sandy and Dennys? What would happen to us? What would happen to us if there was a flood?